We good? All right. I'm going to start off with a quote from UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. Marine trash, mainly plastic, is killing more than 1 million seabirds and 100,000 mammals and sea turtles each year. Often these plastics are found in the middle, or found in the stomachs of these animals, and sea turtles are pretty much strangling themselves with those cans, the little plastic things that go around. They're pretty much strangling themselves with that. After a while, it keeps shrinking down on their necks, and they've been finding a lot of sea turtles strangling themselves from that. My point is, for this persuasive speech, is that we need to use less plastic and our dependency on it. Recycle as much as we can, since it's difficult now because there's so many different chemicals and different plastics that you can't recycle one group with another. It doesn't work that way. Due to the fact that we're polluting our planet and mostly our oceans, which is pretty much run our life, the way we live on this planet. What I'm going to talk about first is the background of plastics, some statistics. Harming some animals that are harmed, what new populations are growing from plastic in the ocean. There's new insects and bacteria growing on plastic that they're finding out. I'm going to first begin with the plastic, what it's made of. It's made of monomers, pretty much, petrochemicals, crude oil, and natural gas. You would think that plastic in the beginning, like a plastic bottle, that's how it comes out right when it's made, but it's not. Plastic is made into these little plastic pellets, are called knurls, and they're just like little beads, and they just make billions of them. And a company will ask the plastic company to send them these knurls like millions of miles, or thousands of miles, or if it's close, one way or another. But they're so small, they are lost during the transportation. So that's how we get a lot of these plastic knurls in our oceans and stuff like that. And I just read too that most in my oceanography class that these knurls are found in every American beach, like the sand, like they were found there. The molds now, they take the plastic pellets, they put it in, the company will put it into like a mold or whatever, and then it will come out like a plastic bottle. The excess is thrown away, which there is a lot of excess because they might not need so many pellets on like conveyors and blah, blah, and that kind of stuff will fall out. According to the UN Environmental Program, global plastic consumption has gone from 5.5 million tons in the 1950s to 110 million tons in 2010. Today, U.S. Americans discard 33.6 million tons each year, but only 6.5% of this is recycled, and 7.7% is combusted in the waste-to-energy facilities. Energy waste facilities are now being built to, they just found out that plastic is a better fossil fuel than coal. You can use it to burn and make it energy important. Also, the excess of it that isn't recycled and isn't into these waste facilities, which is the other 80% of it, is either going to our landfills or mostly found in our oceans that they're just figuring out in this past decade. 8% of our global oil goes to the production of plastic, either raw material or what goes into it, and energy waste. In another article I read by Stephen Leahy explains why the UN has turned its attention to the oceans for World Environmental Day and points out what plastic in our oceans is creating a problem. And now in our backyards we have the Pacific Ocean. Now in the northern Pacific is called the Northern Pacific Gyre, where there's currents that circulate clockwise, and all these currents together make up the North Pacific Gyre. Now in the middle of this North Pacific Gyre, they found this huge, they call it the North Pacific Garbage Patch. There's 7 of them that they found in each gyre of each major ocean. There's a North Pacific one, South Pacific Gyre, and all the gyres, they found garbage patches. Now this one is the largest of all of them. It's 90% made of plastic, over 100 million tons floating in the ocean. And it's called the plastic soup because oceanographers carry like these little nets they make for plastic now, and then they pull it up and they pull up a whole bunch of plastic, and they say it, and it's not on the surface, it's more like in between. Now what they're finding out too is new bacteria and marine insects are now living upon this plastic because it's more suitable. They can lay their eggs better. Bacteria can lay and sit in the sun all day and not get harmed by anything because it protects them. Also, what sucks is most of the plastic we use starts in our hands and then ends up in the ocean, which I don't think is right. We're harming their environment. I don't think they would want to harm ours either. Another thing is it's not biodegradable. It takes thousands of years to break down. All it does is keep breaking down into smaller and smaller pieces, and that's even worse because smaller animals like zooplankton and plankton can now eat this plastic, and then it's in the food chain. So whoever eats the plankton will now have plastic in their stomachs as well. One main specific mammal that I'm going to focus on is the albatross bird. Hundreds and thousands of them have been dying this past decade, and it's pretty sad because they show pictures of them, and when they pretty much decompose, all that's left in their stomachs is all the plastic that they ate, because they scoop up like the resin pellets or whatever plastics in the ocean. They mistake it for food. They go back to their chicks, they feed it to them, and they're not feeding them food, they're just feeding them plastic. And also because they hatch their eggs on islands in like Hawaii, they have found like these islands are just covered in straight plastic toys and stuff, and so when the chicks hatch and they go run around, all they're eating is straight plastic and nothing else. Also, what they're finding out is like the toxins that are released from water bottles, mostly water bottles, called BPAs, bisphenol A, which is a chemical in plastic. Have you ever seen a plastic bottle when it's left out in the sun and like the water heads up to the top of it? They found out that excretes BPA, and this BPA is exposure for polycarbonate plastic, and it's not whether it's a new bottle or old, it happens to both, so it's the same pace, not even if the bottle's older than one another. The temperature in the bottle increases, and then the plastic inside goes into the water. So when you drink it, you could be getting BPAs. That's why they now make BPA-free jugs now, which I've been seeing a lot. Also, if the plastic is in the ocean, then that means that the water temperature goes up. That means BPA is also excreting out from the plastic as well. So if fish eat it from the bottom of our food chain, then bigger fish eat it, then we catch them and then we eat the fish, we're also getting BPA that way as well. BPA can disrupt natural hormones. It really concerns children and young infants who are in development because it affects the brain and growing, and like I said, the natural hormones because they are still growing. Okay, the action we can take for this is recycling. We need to also find different ways to recycle because, like I said, we can only recycle certain things with each other, that was new to me. You can only recycle if one bottle is made from this type of plastic and this one is made from different type of plastic, then the two don't coincide. You can't recycle them together. The chemicals don't match. Biodegradable bottles, which you're seeing in like Dasani bottles and that kind of stuff, they're coming out with corn bottles made of corn, and then they're coming out with plant bottles as well to biodegrade it in the natural environment, which would be smart. New ways to recycle as well, like I was talking about the energy to waste, and I said that it's more efficient than coal. It has more energy use, so they burn it to make fuel, heat, and energy. Like I said, I went over the plastic, how it's made, what it's doing to our environment, what animals are dying from this, and if we're toxifying our bodies too, and what actions we need to do to stop this global dilemma. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to take many, many generations because plastic doesn't go away. And I want to leave you with this quote from my